for a late night fucking reading. Why? Because, I just need to do another one. What are we doing? I'm going to teach you. I need to stop everything I'm doing and do a class for the new people. Who am I? I am the High Priestess Phoenix. That definition alone is what you would call a spiritual healer or a spiritual teacher, a shaman, a seer, an oracle, a light worker, a starseed, an earth angel, a mystic, a medium, a psychic, a witch, are all considered high priestess. Yogis and gurus are not considered high priestess. A sibyl is a high priestess. Evangelist, no. I'm all of that too. Who am I? I am the Lilith reincarnated. In order to keep up with me, you would have to catch my last live video about reincarnation. I'm going to follow up with that and tell you a little bit more about Christ and his lives. Not just the life that you keep using against other people in the Bible, but I'm going to tell you more about his lives in a minute. But first, we're going to stop, and I want to teach you what it means to be me. So when I introduce myself as a high priestess, I guess they missed the part where what that means. Yes, it is a card in the tarot deck, but there is an enormous amount of spiritual responsibility that comes with that label. Okay? So I'm getting a lot of people in my comments that think I'm some kind of fucking priest for Christ. First off, you are never going to find a high priestess that fucking prays to Christ. They are of the pagan religions. They're not Christians. I'm the only one that'll even entertain that conversation. That's what sets me apart, is I'm a pagan high priestess witch that teaches the Christ consciousness. I'm not a Christian. I was raised Christian until I realized the anarchy that's sitting in that book. Realistically, yeah. I'm going to tell you what I do as a high priestess. This is what I do. Okay? So, to be a pagan priestess, this is the pagan priesthood, right? To do something, to be like me, you have to fulfill certain roles and responsibilities, not that of a priest of any church. We do far more mystical works than that of a church. Okay? So let's see here. I'm going to jump in the middle of the book right here and talk about one of these things that we do a lot of right now, because you're going to see me do my full moon ceremonies tomorrow. Petition to a deity. These actions are similar to intermediate prayer for a group or a petition prayer for yourself, but builds on it with the making of tangible offerings or sacrifice. They may look different between individuals and traditions. Let's see. That said, paganism does not have it to be about who you can give the most blood, sweat, and tears. It's really not about competition, right? So it talks about all of that. Sacrifice is a concept that can trip people up here. Though human sacrifice is part of a history of cultures, my own included, I never seen or heard of a modern pagan individual or group or tradition even considering it as a practice. Okay. As for animal practice, there are traditions and individuals who include this in their practices. Rural Christian folk practices sacrificed a black animal, usually a cockerel, I don't know, on St. Martin's Day, and sprinkled the blood on the thresholds of the house. Talks about all of these, right? So we do that, right? I have to petition deities. Offerings are similar to sacrifices, and in the way they're giving part of things that you sacrifice and can conclude all of the above, and it goes into a huge list. All right, so other things I'm in charge of is teaching, training, and guidance in sacerdotal techniques. For those who are skilled in such inner mysteries of sacerdotal functions as already described, as well as community functions as pastoral care, being available for the teachings, trainings, and guidance in ritual or magic techniques and tools, so on, and for those who seek the priesthood themselves or any part of the aspect of the work of its primary responsibility. Guidance from range from general community, working by simply publicizing an email address or phone numbers where people can contact you, as well as participating on online groups and forums, to specifically taking on a student or students and implementing a training program to enable them to function as needed within the community or for the deity you serve. Broadly speaking, this is what it means to be a teacher. As well as with all else you are discussing, it can look different for a variety of individuals. All right, there's ordinations and initiations. This is where Wolfman comes in. He has to be initiated. The conducting of and facilitating of life rites, not too much. Magical acts, design and implementation. A whole separate book can be written on this topic, indeed. I teach a 14-week course that goes into cultural and literally sourced material for Irish magic. But I recommend it as a good starting point for anyone. All of us teach differently. All of us. And I'm going to bring out a couple of different books here. Another thing you have to be able to do is healing or medicinal intervention, physical or energetic. What did I say? I'm a spiritual what? Healer and teacher. What did I say? I'm an evangelist. Okay, in any standard medical profession, consent of treatment, blah, 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 consent may be given verbally or written. What does this mean? A person knows you're a witch and asks for your thoughts and prayers in a certain situation. Implied consent is usually granted for general well-wishing or including a person in your standard prayer. But for more complicated procedures, such as performing a specific spell or group working that directs your energy to them or the situation, you must obtain the patient's express consent. I already spoke of this. I can't just pray you better. I can't just get in and fix you. And for the love of all gods, please express a clear verbal consent before you go laying your hands on a person. I cannot do such things. Realistically, yeah. And I don't want whatever you got. Now here's the most important thing that I sit here and I do all day as the what? Messenger of God. Representing deity. What of a priest acting or speaking for a deity you serve or physically representing them in this world? What of a priest acting or speaking for a deity you serve or physically representing them in this world? Difference between me and priests. A priest speaks out of the Bible. That's it. They speak for no deity. They are nothing more than a teacher of the book of the Holy Bible or the Holy Quran or whatever your book is. They don't consort with the spirit. They pray to it just as much as you do. Okay? Invoking the presence of a supernatural being, including deity, is to invite or command. If you feel brave, then brave them to presence in the space you hold or have created, which may result in passing of messages through intermediate or in partnership, similar to a trance or mediumship process. What did I tell you? I'm a medium. According to my ceremonial magic and training expertise. By contrast, invoking their presence is to call or invite them into a habitat or reside within a person, or technique that includes the possibility of a deity speaking through a person, making use of the physical self to act or speak directly, or writing them in a way that they may or may not consciously have control over. Both are valid techniques and have been used by countless cultures through history in a multitude of different ways for people to hear the voice of God. Speaking as the voice of a deity is a heavy responsibility. Can you speak words even if you're consciously aware of them that you personally know will hurt and cause concern for a person you may care about? Can you speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth when the Holy Spirit tells you to say this? How many times since you've been on my page have you seen me really stop and try not to do it? If you've been here longer than a couple of weeks, you've seen me. Please don't make me say this. And I'll try not to. And I'll have to. They will not let me go forward. I must speak this. When you speak on behalf of deity, and that's where it is. This could be many deities, but when I'm speaking for the spirits, the ascending masters, any of them, I don't have to speak for Jesus. I speak with Jesus, and I will relay that conversation with you, but I don't speak for him. And that's the difference here. They'll invoke him, and I'll get into that in a couple other books. Can you speak in this manner without filtering or changing or limiting the voice of the deity? Can you step back and give control of your physical form to a supernatural being, knowing that whatever they say or do will ultimately, you will ultimately be held responsible? Think about that for a second. Whatever they say or do, anything, yes, even that, whatever crossed your mind right there. It's in your voice box speaking, your hands doing, your body's moving. Can you handle the consequence? Now, go back to the video. What did I do? I invoked Allosaur on those two people that were fucking around in my comments. Why? Well, it'll teach them a very harsh lesson that you don't just jump in the comments like that. Every person needs to learn that lesson, don't you think? They're going to learn it in a very spiritual way because they were playing with the dark goddess, trying to be gods. One was talking shit about America, and the other one was using Jesus Christ's words to condemn me when I'm using Jesus Christ's way of life to liberate. It became real dark, and rather than sinking to their level, I allowed the darkness to meet them at their level in the name of God. Okay. Now, that's one thing I do here is my job, and I talked about that. Now, before that, let's see. I'm in charge of leading prayers, devotionals, and journeys. I'm also supposed to teach you guys how to do guided meditations, but I don't really do that. Not too much, right? The sacerdotal duties are ritual techniques. I show you experimentation, experience, and expertise. I teach you how to do the rituals that I do. I teach you how I move between the worlds. All of us do that a little different. Within the traditions and cultures, there may be one other world or plane of existence or something else. There may be a multitude of other planes or existence the practitioner can access and move between. I teach you that I do that. I move through the tree of life, which is the 13 levels, the 13 realms. Science only has listed 12. I didn't understand why the 13th didn't exist, but that's beyond the gates. That's heaven, is what they say. I'm currently always typically, since it's happened since summer, I'm stuck between the 11th. I can't say I've gotten into the 12th dimension, but I stay in the 11th dimension with Metatron, where all things are created, but in the form of thought. Really? I tell you all about this. Realistically, yes. It may be called journeying, going into the Iram or Etra, traveling, astral traveling, soul traveling, dream walking, interdimensional traveling, flying, having an out-of-body experience, trance prophecy, and various other terms for vision or prophecy seeking. That all happens right here, and that's what I tell you is I enter into the other realities of time and space all day. Really? Yes. And I can tell you how to do it too and how to kind of walk through it. Walking between the worlds, walking with the ancestors, or even more modern hedge crossing, among many more. It is exceptionally common experience and skill, both historically in pre- and non-Christian societies, as well as in modern earth-based and New Age spiritual practice. It's a common belief that the ability to astrally travel is something we have been born with, or gain experientially by events outside of our control. Some traditions indicate that they are being born with a call when a amniotic membrane is enclosed in the head or even full body of a baby. Suspect of being a channeling as a child. Being chosen by spirits or ancestors granted the power, having a death or near-death experience, and so on. All these things are excellent indicators of potential at least, and can be developed through training and expertise. That's what I teach as well. All right, along with that, I teach technical and creative knowledge of tool work. I teach you how to use herbs, oils, and stones. Those are tools, right? Other things such as the wand I have in my car. My atheme is in my spiritual bag, which is another word for a knife or blade, but mine's plastic. It's not. It is, but it was made in India, I think, and it's just a lot of weird shit. Teach you all kinds of stuff, how to use candle magic, all of it. And that's it. It's like, why were you writing down their name? Seal. A seal. The sourcing, crafting, or care of these items in the pure view of the priest are both of themselves, blah, blah, blah. And she goes into what she carries. She carries all kinds of goofy shit. Really, what I call my Irish regalia. She carries muddy boots with a paper clip in place to hold the broken zipper. She keeps a lapel phone mic so she can record sacred sites, access video parts of the community service, providing authentic connection to Ireland. She keeps a sharp knife so she could cut away rubbish that people have left tied to their trees as a mistake for ignorant attempt to copy old rag tree magic. She keeps a couple of bags and some gloves so she can clean shit up along the way. Something about she's found condoms and other dirty shit. Usually she keeps a natural stone or two that may not live in her pockets all the time. A woolly hat and gloves because it's Ireland. A hunter's jacket and a small corked glass bottle for collecting samples. A small bag of wild bird and animal food mix. Do you want to know what's in mine? I mean, seriously, I can pull out all the same shit in my bag right now. If I pull it all out, you're like, I really have all the same shit in there. Only I carry a bunch of herbs too. I have all these little bottles that I carry so I can collect shit. I've got my atheme. I carry gloves because my hands get cold. I have these certain pants that I put over my pants to keep warm, certain beat up shoes and shit. Like I'm walking around I'm serious. I don't get pretty for that shit. I don't get pretty to go into the woods. I get warm. Seriously, they're gonna have me sit down in the cold and fucking start a fire and pray and fucking meditate and trance and make food offerings and all kinds of shit. I don't do all that stupid shit. But anyways, what else? Last items can be used as offerings to steady my nerves after an encounter. Physical stuff, blah blah blah. Non-physical tools of worship are worked with spells, songs, incantations, prayers, other techniques to access and appease the divine and any supernatural beings you wish to access or appease, the gods and the ungods, as we say in our tradition. Ooh, the dead and the undead. Really? Maybe. And then there's all of that stuff. So I do all of that crazy shit, but then I also have to do the actual pastoral stuff. Now, with my ability to go into the other realms, I have to have the ability to deal with the fucking dark spirits on the other side. So I can do exorcisms. I can cast them out, but I can call them in. And that's really why people don't fuck with me. I'm not love and light. I'm just back in the light. It's been a long time coming, but I'm not love and light, and I'll do this, and I'll remind you all the fucking time I'm not Jesus. I was way before Jesus. I was born of the darkness. Realistically, yes. With that, I teach protection and reversal magic. In here, Jason Miller, he's one of the freaking most acclaimed male witches, and he tells you about the same thing in there. What does he talk about? He talks about how he can force spirits to come to life. I don't force shit. I live in the spirit world. That's why people don't fuck with me. And it's amazing that people were in my freaking... It was a test because we're supposed to restrain ourselves. And did I do well? No, I told him to lick Jesus's balls and I called a demon to their fucking bedside. Did I fail the test? No, it was the beginning. We had to see what we were working with. Okay, well, that's a good start. Maybe not bend Jesus over like that. Maybe not invoke the devils into people's lives. Okay, but they were they were testing me. That was a good test. And that's all I got to say about that. I am the dark goddess. If I blow this motherfucker, if I blow half this planet off the fucking, half this country off, they're going to forgive me. They know I can't handle this. They won't give me too much, but they expect that I can handle it. And it takes all kind of restraint not to think a terrible thought and there shall it be. Don't make me think I want to be in your space with my hands around your neck. You're going to feel a real tightness around your throat real fast. Don't think that. You have no ability, you have no idea what the spirit is capable of doing and which spirits I connect with. Do you know the spirit of Lilith? Let me explain the spirit of Lilith before I even go any further on this. God created me first, me and Adam. Genesis chapter 1. What was it? 26 and 27. I think it was, right? And it came down to procreation, right? We were supposed to have babies and he wanted to be on top because he was man, and there was no equality in that. Right away it was domination. So I fled, which was supposedly abomination because he created us to be together, and I left his side because he told me what to do. And if so, I was casted out of the human experience if I wouldn't go back and play this experience with him. And so I said, fuck it. I wasn't destroyed. I was just casted out of the human experience. So there I was in darkness, and that's where I lived. And anything that ever came into the darkness met me first. That's what gives me my authority. I am the goddess of darkness. I occupy all dark spaces. What are the things that are hidden in the dark? All the things that people do not want to see. When the angels and Lucifer fell, where did they fall? To the dark. You could say it was a land that I ruled, but it wasn't. I was just first to be in that land, and many came to the dark side. I'm considered the dark mother. So anytime I get into my dark energy, they all come running. And if I don't, it's my feast. It's my feast. Nobody will fight my feast because they know I will devour this, whatever it is. And that's what's known about Lilith. She's the rebellion. She's the dark goddess. She is the baby killing fucking demoness. Nothing stood in my fucking way. So realistically, when I'm sat there with any kind of battle, the entire universe must allow me to proceed in my own way. If I overcross boundaries, there's something that could stop me if I couldn't control myself, if I couldn't control my rage, my vengeance. And that's all it is. If I couldn't control that, then God's force would come in and stop. And there's simplistic times when you can see them tell me to calm down, or he'll throw the book at me when he's like, you're getting out of control now. And that's where it is he won't let me get out of control. But in that essence, if it ever happened, all's forgiven in love and war, because you gave me a power I couldn't fucking control. Now, when it comes down to it, if I choose to fight this battle, it's my battle, and nobody can touch this person. Nobody can touch Russ while he's standing in front of me. Nobody, he's mine. I'll take care of him. Nobody touches him. He's mine. That's what that means. So you have a covering over you that you don't actually fully understand. But the fucking second I'm done with you, they're going to feed off of you. Really? Because they watched the whole thing. The light and the dark watched the whole battle between us go down, and they watched me walk away into the light, which left you into the dark. And now you're not protected by me, and they can do whatever they want to you. Really? Yeah. And they're very loyal, and I love them dearly for that, because I would do the same. You're not going to cast them out, and that's what ended up. These are souls that people casted out because of their sins. They were deemed unworthy, uncleanly, unlikable, unlovable. So they ran to the darkest pits of their, you know what I mean, of their depression and their pains and their sufferings. They all pray to the dark goddess, and the dark goddess gives them comfort. My job is to rebuild you from what your experience has done, enough so you can go back out there with your head held high and be a battle goddess. Be a battle bird, bro. That's what I do. I re-empower the dark to face it again, to go out there and be the light. Really? Don't let them fucking bully you. Don't let them fucking bully you. Don't let them fucking bully you, because you ain't like them. Fuck them. Fuck them, God's chosen, huh? Fuck them. Realistically, yeah. So, in the sense of I can't control myself and I have to back up and now I'm going to feed you to the dark, you're in deep shit. Can I take it back? No. I'm not going to go back and pick you up. I'm not going to go back and say, "Oh, give him back to me. I wasn't lying. I was lying." No, when I'm done, I'm done. Realistically, yeah. So for that person, they had it coming. They fucking had it coming. They wanted to test the fucking fence and they're going to get one hell of a shock. Realistically, I mean, you play with darkness, you get darkness. As above, so below. They were putting out negativity, so they got it called to them. What I really found unbelievable was the parallel. We're with Metatron and we're in astronomy and we're learning all about the planets. And that's what I want you to see is the fucking mirror. Who is the mirror in the darkness of where we are? Allosaur, the fallen. That's what he specializes in. He was the first one to hear our call because we're in that level of light. He's in the parallel of the dark. Swear. Really? Yep. I was trying to explain that in the last video. Nobody wants to hear that shit. So, yeah, consorting with the spirits, yeah, I can talk to famous dead people, but you forget all these so-called demons and darkness and devils that you guys run from are nothing more than my family. The dark side of humanity is what clung to me. What prays to Lucifer? What prays to Lilith? We never empowered you to go against God. We empower you to go against man and to stand in your own skin and be proud of not proud, but be pleased and accepting to what God has made you, even though you're not like them. You still have great purpose and you still have great beauty. Really? Yeah. And how righteous of, God's fucking people to come over here casting hate when we're out here as the most hateful beings spreading love. Oh, you want to hate? I know some haters that can deal with this kind of hate. Realistically, yeah, and that's 99.9% of why people that if they haven't met me in the flesh, they won't. The longer they stay around here and realize my capabilities and what I truly can do, they fucking fear me more and more. Wolfman may have thought it was a joke when I first met him and I asked him if he was okay with my spirit guides. It's like, I have spirit guides. In this essence of, let me introduce me and my team, because there's me and my team. And he's heard it for so long that they're really with her all the motherfucking time. Those are just my spirit guides. Let me introduce you to God's team. That's right above that. Now, where in humanity do you think you fit into this spiritual warfare that's happening here? You don't. And that's why you have to run around deeming shit like the power of Christ compels you and you're crazy and this is this, that, and the other. Why? It has to be outside of you because there's no way that you can fit into this, correct? You're not welcome into this, into the kingdom of our gods. Only yours, and yours is, supposedly Jesus is discriminatory and doesn't like Americans. Shut up, bro. Anyways, I wanted to show you some of that stuff. I do teach all of that great shit. The scariest shit that we're learning right now was this bitch. I invocated this bitch, and then this bitch brought the devil to my door. Realistically, it brought my twin flame, one that they're always trying to bring to me. That scared me enough. Realistically, if my God and my spirit guides and motherfucking my angels of the light can't make him come here, and I did one invocation and he was in my DMs, nah, this is scary. We're going to find out. But as far as that, I have the black arts. I have all of that. I do all of that shit, bro. So don't fucking tempt me, dude. Don't make me light a candle in your name. Don't make me think a bad thought. Don't make me. And realistically, you can't make me. I have to control those thoughts. Now let's go back into Melchizedek. I'm not a priest. I don't touch boys. I'm not celibate. None of that. I smoke weed. I talk shit. I listen to gangster music, and I talk to fucking dead people. I do magic, and I try to teach people to be more Christ-like. Don't expect too much out of me. You might get hurt. Realistically. Now, I wanted to go into this. What is this? The Melchizedek order. I said that in my last video. I worked with Melchizedek probably year 2. He's that purple card over there. Let me bring his face down. Does he really look like that? No, but you guys in your fucking, what did he say? My pedophile altar? This is the man watching fucking Girls Gone Wild, right? God. Anyways, that's Melchizedek. I got initiated into him year 1, I think it was, the Order of the Melchizedek. I'm not going to get into all of this. I'm going to teach you some of the incarnations of the Christ energy. Page 98 and 99. Amelius was the first expression of the divine mind, the Logos, the Christ soul before his incarnation in the physical body, corresponding with Genesis 1. The entity of Caius describes as living in the lost civilization of Atlantis, who redirected the process of human evolution by creating a more appropriate physical form into which the influx of souls could incarnate rather than the ape-like human form in which the souls had previously entangled themselves. Back to my last video about incarnation and reincarnation and breaking that fucking cycle. I told you just put on a meat suit. It's just a meat suit. Adam was the first son of man, the son of God, the Christ soul after his incarnation into the physical body, corresponding in Genesis 2. Enoch, who is what? That's Metatron. Metatron was Enoch. Enoch was the, I don't know how to pronounce this word, antediluvian, I don't know, patriarch who journeyed to heaven to receive mysteries. He was said to have walked with God. As he walked with this faith, and his faith was the ground of this pleasing God, he therefore ascended into heaven and did not see death. Hermes, also known as Thoth or Thought, was the architect of the Great Pyramid and the sage who began the Hermetic tradition, authors of the Emerald Tablets. Melchizedek was the mystical high priest and king of Ur and Salem, ancient Jerusalem. He taught the law of one to Abram and Sarai, I guess, Abram and Sarai. I don't know, maybe it's just Sarah. And the use of bread and wine. After Melchizedek left the earth plane through spontaneous combustion, and we talked about that earlier. I was like, when you leave the body, you go into the subatomic particles. All intrusions by God into the earth plane were born of woman, experienced physical death, and were incarnations. It was necessary that a woman be born first to be the vessel to bring forth her male counterpart. Mothers of the great teachers were the female aspect of the fluctuation of light, which is to bring to birth the avatars and Christed beings. That's why it's so important that I do this. What? I have to rehabilitate myself, and I have to have a holy union and birth 2 more earth angels, very chosen ones. Really? I have to do it. That's what I'm here to do. That's why I have to do this. With or without a man, it must be done. That's what I have to do. But I have to be in my Christ light, and I have to have washed away all the karma and all the experiences so that my child comes in a clean seed. It doesn't come in the sins of the mother. Really? Yeah. Samuel was a prophet and a restorer of Jewish faith, unifier of Jewish nation, and founder of the school of the prophets in northwest Israel, at the place called whatever. when today we call Carmel. Samuel was the one who found David as a lad and anointed him to be the next king of Israel. When David became the king of Israel, he was a Melchizedek priest, and he put the Melchizedek priest into the temple and took out the Levitican priest. For about 400 years, there were beings incarnated into the Carmel who were seeding the earth for the two avatars coming into the earth plane for the new age. This group were called those who wait and those who keep the secrets. We call them Essence and Esene. The bedrock of their community, their teachings, came from the teacher of righteousness. These were the teachings of Melchizedek, who founded their community. Elijah, known as Elijah the Tishbite, Elijah the Good Readings, was a prophet who attacked wickedness when he encountered it. He outwitted Jezebel and her priests and destroyed Baal worshipping. He angered who's Baal? Another one of these dark demons I work with. He angered the powerful and had to go into hiding on more than one occasion. He went home in a whirlwind of heavenly fire, ascending into heaven in a chariot of flame, casting his mantle on. There was Elijah, and then there's Elijah, whatever. Elijah? No, this one's Elijah. This one's Elisha. I don't know. Pupil and successor. He was more of a teacher than a prophet. He was an honored mouthpiece of the Almighty at the court of the six kings, three whom called him friend and taught him more valuable than 1,000 generals. Many miracles are attributed to him, many depicted by Jesus, and it was witness for truth and righteous. Joseph, coat of merry colors, and the son of Jacob, who advanced from slave boy to the prince of Egypt. He was brilliant and benevolent ruler of the living example of forgiveness. Joshua was the warrior who was Moses, led the Israelites into the promised land. He was Moses' right hand and served him as an advisor and military commander. Asaph was a Levite of the Gershonite family and was appointed over the service and the praise of the time of David and Solomon. He led the singing and sounded the cymbals before the ark, and supposedly established a school of music. Really? Yeah. Yeshua was the high priest who helped organize the return of the Babylonian captivity and the building of the second temple, as encountered in the book of Ezra and I can't even say it right now. All right, anyways, it goes on and on. Really? Yeah. All of them. So it says, there were many more than these. Remember, wherever two or more are gathered together, recognize oneness. I am with you. So what was it talking about? It's talking about the incarnation of the Christ consciousness in so many. Really? What's this? No matter where you go, there you are, and so is God. I like that people believe that they're outside of God's graces. Oh, this is chapter 9, leaving home, separation, and finding the way back. People tend to believe that you're dabbling in something ungodly, or you're in a place where you're not protected by God, or you're doing things that God can't see. And I like that sentiment, but it's absolutely not real. And that's where karma comes to get your bitch ass, because you believed you were in the dark and nobody could see what you were doing in the dark. But with the lights on, everybody can see everything. People are always curious about what happens in the dark. Really? Yeah. Now, I blame myself for not doing any of these teachings recently, where I reminded people of my dark gifts and what I do, what they're for. They call me a cult buster in that sense, because I expose all of the dark practices to regular people, and I use that to empower these regular people from dark practitioners. The only way to fully do that is to heal yourself. So just like myself or anyone else that dabbles in the dark, I told you, we know exactly what to say to get under your skin where you'll lose your divinity. You could lose your mind, you could lose your job, you could lose your sobriety, you could lose your wife or husband. We can, there's psychic attacks, there's magical attacks, there's mental attacks. I teach you how to protect yourself from all of them, how to recognize when any of them are happening, and how to, get out of that. But ultimately, if you carry darkness, then you're a feeding ground for darkness. And that's what happened to those people. They kept bringing out the dark. And before I gave them the dark, I gave them the dark. I'm not asked to watch my tone or my tongue. I'm not asked to be anything but me and to spread, you know what I mean? The light. I'm not a light worker. I wasn't of God's army and I chose to take form and fight this righteous battle. I'm not Michael Jackson. I'm not Archangel fucking Michael. I'm not any of those. I'm not any of God's light workers in that sense. I'm God's love and all of his feelings. And typically the dark ones, if you'd really like to know. That's what I specialize in. But that's what I mean. I carry their light for humanity. And the reason I carry it is because I'm walking through the darkness. As I walk through the valleys of the shadows of death, you are all in the end times. It is what it is. The Antichrist is just an energy upon all. The mark of the beast is quite obvious, don't you think? And then you can see Christ in masses. You can see those that are Christed in his light. You can see a person's kindness, their nobility, their generosity, their patience, their forgiveness, their understanding, their compassion, and their love. You can see Christ in people all the time. But the people that do that, that's not Christ-like. Using Christ to judge people gives you no power, but other than to be judged yourself. May all judgment be put upon you. Realistically, you have no power. If you ever studied his words, which we're going to start studying, he said to love them, to forgive them, to help them, to pray for them, to not consort with them, not fellowship with them, but guide them. Who are them? Obviously you. If you're not that leader, then you must be our followers, don't you think? If you're not out here leading people in an act of love and virtue with integrity, nobility, and just equality, why is that so difficult for you? Why can't you treat people with fucking respect? Nobody has to earn it from you. It's not a power that you can use upon people, and that's what it means. You think you're all powerful being disrespectful to people, denying them your love. That makes you powerless, bro. Jesus had no reason to be nice. I love that idiot that got in my comments the other day and said Jesus wasn't a Jew, he was killed by the Jews. Jesus was killed by his own people, bro. His own church members came after him. His own people killed him. Keep that in mind, because when you start walking the righteous path, it's going to be your own fucking kin that come after you. They're the ones that are talking shit. Oh no, she's a fucking hypocrite. They're a fucking Bible thumper. They're this and they're that. They want to act like they're better than people. They start dragging your name in the ground just because you're trying to do good. It's your own people that are going to eat you alive. You're going to be accepted outside of your own pack. Realistically, that's the truth. And who did Jesus go to? He didn't go to no chosen Jewish people. He went to all the people they had casted out. He delivered God to the edges where they said that people weren't allowed God. He gave God back to the people they said were unworthy, and he gave them another way. He said, "You no longer will you have to run to their temples or follow their laws, but that God lives within you." Really? Yeah. It's pretty fucking simplistic. But that's not what they're in the comments as I see them loading up right there. That's not what they're saying. That's not what they're preaching out there. They're condemning in the name of Christ, and that's been the movement of Christ since it happened. The Roman Empire and all of those churches adapted Christianity because there was power in it. And they used that power of belief to overpower anyone that did not believe in Christianity. And that's how they took out most of the pagan religions. They didn't. They just shoved them into hiding. Because as you can see, it's coming to the surface. There's plenty of us pagan religions. Anything that practices God outside of Christianity or Catholicism is considered a pagan religion. That could be from being Buddhist to being Taoist to being, you know what I mean, whatever you are. They think you're a pagan religion. That their God is the only God and you pray to a false God. What's very funny is because outside of Christianity, there's a lot of religions that don't believe that. They accept all other gods. They've been raised throughout throughout the evolution of life that they believed in the Greek gods. They believed in the Egyptian gods. They believed in the Mayan gods. They believed in the African gods. They did believe that Christ had the power of the gods, but they didn't believe he was the one true God and the only one to have such God powers, and that we must reform and conform to the Roman fucking authority. Really? Yeah. And it's not a rebellion against against Christ, but against the false teachings of Christianity. They do not teach acceptance, forgiveness, kindness, and compassion. I've yet to see it. If you want to see it, you really want to see a show, watch me dress up in my witch gear and walk into any of these Christian churches and be met with hate and judgment and fucking ridicule and fucking, you know what I mean? Even probably be asked to leave. That's not very Christ-like. Christ said to open the doors, to bring them in, to be fishing for souls, to teach them the word and bring them closer to God. What'd you just do? Kick me out in the name of God because of how I dress? I'm not allowed to believe in your God and my God? See what I mean? Is our God separate? So if we don't believe their way and we don't pray their way, which is a great thing that's exhibited in the Bible Belt, they'll beat the shit out of you with that shit. There's a church on every corner, but they're not all going to heaven according to them. The Baptists and the Lutheran and the Presbyterian and the, you know what I mean, Pentecostal and all of this, the Mormons, they all pray to Christ along with the Catholics. But if you don't sit in their church and do it their way, then you're not going to go to heaven. They won't fully say it, but they will. You're not allowed to cross churches. You're not allowed to go and praise God in another temple because they believe that that's not their holy temple. And that's exactly what Jesus said. There will be a day when you will no longer run to their temples, nor their synagogues, but you will have full access to God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit within you. Well, that's what I teach you right here. I have full access to God all fucking day. Jesus is right there all the way, and all of the Holy Spirits that God ever fucking blessed this world with. I have access to all of them here in my quiet space, just as Jesus said. Oh my God, hallelujah, it's a miracle. It is a miracle. Can I get an amen? How'd I do that? Becoming spiritual, walking in the Spirit and not in the laws, walking in the Spirit and not in the flesh. Galatians 5:19 through 23. There's a difference. But I'm not here to teach you Christianity. Because Christianity is bullshit. I'm teaching you how to be Christ-like. Christians are full of shit. They're fucking hypocrites. They're judgmental bastards. They think they're fucking they think they're great people as they sit there and cast out everybody else. again, sound very Jewish to me. Sound very much like the fucking Jewish with me. And then as I say that, am I offending Jews? I don't know. Are we talking about the Jewish that believe the Jewish Kabbalah? Are we talking about Judeo Christians? Are we talking about Islams? That all of this, that all of you that supposedly believe in the Messiah but don't live by the words? You live by old prophets, but not by kindness, bro. Everything. Whether you pray to Muhammad or you pray to fucking Ishmael or fucking Vishnu, whatever, fine, pray to them, but do they tell you to be a good person and to pray for others? Do they tell you to exhibit kindness and, you know what I mean, some kind of patience with these people? Some generosity? Do they show you how to be sympathetic? Or it teaches you to be a cold-hearted motherfucker to anybody outside of your religion? Well, that's not very Christ-like. That's not very warm or opening. We don't need a bunch of closed-minded people like that. Close the doors. Set that motherfucking church on fire. Ooh, you didn't like that, did you? I mean, that's how they used to handle that type of shit back in the day. Do we handle it the old way, or do we convert into the new way where we can be more accepting? Who cares what God they pray to as long as their God is a benevolent God that teaches them to be good? Do I care what Muslims do when they're putting their face to the ground? No, as long as they're praying to God to be a better person when they get their fucking head up off the ground. I don't care who you pray to, bro, as long as that deity is telling you to be a good person out here in these streets. And not for show, but to show people what goodness is. Otherwise, nah, bro, go fuck you and your religion. If your religion doesn't teach you how to be a good person, then it's no good to us. We have enough people being bad to each other, bro. And if you're going to do it in the name of God, well, goddamn you and whoever else believes that bullshit, bro. And that's what set Christ apart. It was all love, bro. He went to all the countries. The revival was all the countries. They came in. It wasn't their God. It wasn't their prophet. They wanted to hear, though. And by believing, if you shall believe this word, you shall so receive the fucking kingdom of God. It's a way of life. It's not a study, bro. People can study it their whole fucking lives and use it as persecution. Or you can use it as enlightenment. Use it as a fucking way to set yourself free, not to tie people up. You're literally trying to crucify people all the time when he said that you're supposed to forgive them and that they were forgiven in him. He's given them forgiveness. They don't need yours. And they definitely don't need your damn judgment. Who the fuck are you to judge someone else's life? Let's put you under the fucking scales of justice, bro. Let's see how many times you've lied and cheated and stole. How many times you were never honorable, couldn't tell the truth. You couldn't stand up. You couldn't save somebody. You couldn't be righteous. You couldn't be generous. You couldn't be kind. How many times a day you turn your head to a needy person? How many times you look over people and you step on them and walk around them and you know what I mean? Like, shut up, bro. Don't tell me how great your religion is if it has you out here looking like a bad person. You are a bad representation of whatever religion you're trying to represent right now. And that's where, you know what I mean, your community will be like, that's not, we don't think like that. We don't act like that. Who let this asshole? He doesn't speak for us. You don't speak for Christ. You speak for the fucking killers that don't know how to forgive. The Antichrist. You speak for the Antichrist, those that are against Christ's words. He said forgiveness, compassion, understanding. Shut your fucking mouth. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, if you don't have a kind word, then take your words, go write it down somewhere else. Write it down and burn it. Save that shit. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, you're not special. You're not special in your mean words. You want to see something special? Watch somebody be kind. That's something we don't see every fucking day. All right, let's get in these stupid comments and I'm out of here. It's the same bot-generated person. Repent and follow Jesus. Yeah. Okay, another one of these Christ. You go and pray to the devil, bro. The devil shall be with you as you pray for Christ and all your worries and shit. Really, all this. Let me see. Hold on, I'm trying to open these comments. Yeah, there's a bunch of these Bible thumpers. What kind of Bible thumper comes to a fucking... I guess they probably do show up in tarot readers classes. I'm not a tarot reader. I feel for you. You're getting sucked into a spider web, and I'm not going to be the one to eat you up. It's going to be the dark lords and the dark beings. Why? Because you're being dark. Again, you're persecuting in Jesus' name again. You were taught this by your parents or somebody. Oh no. If you can't teach yourself to be better, then, whatever. And the judgment doesn't just come on you. That's what you don't get. Your karma is this is going to hurt your family, bro. Really? Mm-hmm. When you go to jail, that doesn't just hurt you. That hurts your whole family, bro. When you get into a car accident and you lose your job or you can't, you have health issues, that doesn't just hurt you. That puts your family in struggle, suffering, hardships. When bad things happen to you, they don't just hurt you, they hurt everyone around you. Everyone has to pay for what you've done. The devil's not out to get you. And just a reminder, I've been called the devil in many lifetimes. I'm not out to get you. That's the bad doings. You called in darkness, so therefore darkness shall be your friend. If you wish bad things, then bad things shall happen. Realistically, yeah. So, you're getting sucked into a really dark... It's like, I see it as what are they called? Those like mosquito lamps. Like it calls you in only for you to fucking fuck around and die. Really? Yeah. You're like drawn to it. You're drawn to be this, I don't know. If that was the case, you probably should have been a Mormon and got on a bike and wore a little white t-shirt. Fucking, run around with the Bible if you thought you were keeping, you were one of God's fucking chosen ones. You thought you were going to fight injustice in the name of God. How lovely. Your parents must be so proud of you. How's that working for your dating and social life? Really? Does your Bible tell you not to have sex? Oh, it sucks to be you. Then I guess you won't be birthing the new world. Be making love to yourself. You're not part of the love experience, huh? Realistically, no. Thanks for joining us, Melchizedek. Melchizedek teaches you about the life integration. He teaches you about the Christ light. They all teach about living in the Christ light. I can pull out a book about aliens, which would be the Palladians, another thing you don't believe in, that also teaches you. Even the fucking aliens teach you to be Christ-like. But all you can do is use Christ's words to be un-Christ-like. What is wrong with you? You're not my problem, and I'm not your solution. That's the good thing. Realistically, nope, I'm just doing my community service work in my time in hell. All I gotta do is give them the apple, whether they choke on it or if they fucking get diarrhea and applesauce themselves to death. I don't care. Most of the teachings, I expect that none of you have the conscious level of understanding. My job is just to be here and do the work and have it documented in time. Something like Tupac's music or, the Declaration of Independence. I'm just supposed to be here as the witness. Revelations chapter 11 through 13, the woman that bears the child. Of course I'll hang and die and come back to life and show you that God's all glorious. But realistically, I don't give a fuck about your soul. God does. He's using me as a light to guide you back, but realistically, I can see why you're doomed. I can see why he should just, cut the wheat from the chaff and burn the fucking shit to the ground. The roof. Realistically, I don't cast judgment, but I have full understanding why you might not be necessary for the future, nor your children's 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 children, because they carry the evil seed of the fathers, their forefathers before them. Realistically, if this is as good as you get, can you imagine what your fucking what your fucking, your greatest grandchildren might be? They're not going to be any greater than you. Realistically, yeah, cursed seeds. You're the cursed seed of somebody else's fucking misdoings. And what do? You just live in the addiction, your family generation's curses. You're part of the generation of cursed family. And while you're here, you keep the curse going by fueling it with bad karma. You know what I mean? You walk the steps of your uncles and your mothers and your fathers. You know what I mean? You become what they were. And your children are bred into what it is. And realistically, none of that is in Christ. None of that is in kindness or goodness or morality, integrity or honesty. Ugh, the scum. Scum. Realistically, yeah, I pity you, but only so much. And in the essence of, well, Christ be with you, let the dark consume you, God have mercy on you, clean your chakras, and have a good night. All that stuff.